Hello, hello. This is our second installment of my Living in Illusion series, and the first installment was actually about personal, so individual, personal, living in illusions type of situation. This second installment is actually about business, professional, job, employment, that type of situation. And so what's interesting, if you watch my videos before, I normally make it a point to say, hey, I'm not a professional trained therapist. I'm not claiming to be an expert in this area. This is purely just my opinion based on my own personal experiences. But I will say in this area, I will actually self-proclaim as an expert. So I definitely feel like after 20 plus years, combination of working in corporate as well as, working and running my own company, that things in and around professional employment, hiring, HR, employee experience, and then kind of just business in general, I would say is definitely an area I can feel comfortable touting that this is an area of expertise that I have. Reflecting back on the live that I did last week in terms of personal, the quick summary discovery that I made was realizing that I had pretty much spent most of my life feeling like for anyone to live in an illusion, for a relationship to be in an illusion was a bad thing. And that there wasn't anything good that could come from it. And then through some of my own recent personal experiences was a realization that when it comes to personal relationships, it is very circumstantial. Like there could be potentially situations where, in fact, there isn't harm caused by living in illusion and potentially maybe even some benefits. Again, personally, just because of my own value system and belief in absolute truth, that's a tough pill to swallow. But again, I feel like there's been enlightenment a little bit in my own personal experiences that I've shared. Now I will proceed to immediately contradict myself when it comes to business. So I'll preface everything I'm about to say that I actually personally and professionally, and as someone who feels comfortable being an expert in this area, I do not believe that there's any benefit whatsoever in a business relationship for anyone to be living in an illusion. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this full circle to provide my reasoning and kind of evidence as to why I feel that way. I'm going to take it literally from when people are in the process of seeking out a job while being in employment all the way through to the end of that employment period, and why there's so much evidence to show that this isn't something that, there's any benefit. As a matter of fact, it more often than not causes great harm. Giving some context, as I usually like to do, in a business relationship, this is part of what I think I love about business is that the relationship is so clear. Very simply put, in a business employment situation, a person is working a job because they need to earn money and they want to be paid fairly for the work that they perform. Vice versa, an employer has some kind of service or product that they're looking to sell and provide. And as a result, they need people to come in and work and perform a job of which they pay people for. And that's it. That's it, guys. This isn't about how much you like someone. That business relationship, employee-employer relationship is not about how much you like someone. It's not about how much, how you like how they dress. This has nothing to do with anything personal. It has to do with a very clear relationship, a very simple, a very straightforward relationship of someone needs to earn money, so they work for it, and the other person needs the work done, so they pay for it. And that's it. So when you have something that really isn't complex, this isn't a complex situation. This isn't a circumstantial situation like we talked about on a personal scale. This is a very straightforward situation. So, like I said, let me provide the evidence. Let me present my case as to why I believe that living in an illusion in a professional situation only causes harm, and there is not a circumstance where it is beneficial. So like I said, I'm going to start from the beginning. When someone is looking for a job, and many of you will have probably heard me say this before that are on my team, that human nature, and I would say this is a global international thing, is I would say that most people across the planet would probably list off looking for a job and interviewing for a job as one of their top 5 most hated things to do in life, right? There's a lot of things that we don't like to do, but looking for a job is certainly on that top 5 list. And because of that, as what human nature drives us to do is, how do we end the pain? How do we get out of something that we don't want to do anymore? And so what ends up happening is when someone is going through a job seeker process, when they're looking for a job and they're looking for an opportunity and they're interviewing and they're applying and they're going through all the steps, what I have seen for 20 plus years in countless industries, in countless types of roles, and you name it, is this rose-colored glass approach that most job seekers will take. So they'll be like, hey, this looks like a good job on paper. Oh, well, I talked to someone and they seem to reinforce it. It looks good. And then what will happen is the rose-colored glasses come on and all they do is only see the good and they hear the good. So even if they're interviewing with a company like ours, which we are overly transparent, we do the good, the bad, the ugly. We have if anything, we probably do too much of the ugly, to just be super clear and making sure that candidate is informed about the job. Should we choose to offer it, and should they choose to take it? Because again, we live in this wonderful country, and I would say most of the countries around the world don't subscribe to slavery anymore, thank God. And because of that, people have to make choices about where they're going to work, right? They have the freedom to make that choice. But with that freedom, as we learn in social studies, comes accountability, whether we like it or not. And so in this situation, again, there is an illusion. There's an illusion that a lot of people, human beings, do when they're looking for a job because they want the pain to end, and they choose to only hear good things. They choose to take things that they're told are really hard and difficult, and they choose to go, oh, well, they told me that in this job that there's no autonomy, but that's okay. It's a great thing. Even though I struggle with, working with teams, it's okay because they told me it's a great team. So they'll ignore the ugly that they're being told. They won't go through a process of going, what's my deal breakers? Like, am I asking questions in an interview process about what those deal breakers are? Am I taking those, am I tackling those things head on so that I can't use the excuse later that I'm somehow a victim because I decided to take a job and put on those rose-colored glasses and only see and hear what I wanted to hear. So as you can imagine, when people do this, this is only a situation, this illusion that they put into their minds that this is like, oh, it's a perfect job, it's going to be great, it's only amazing. And then they go into the job and guess what happens? They get in and they go, oh, well, this isn't as amazing as I thought it was going to be. This illusion my bubble illusion has now been popped once I actually get in and do the real job. So that's the very front end of the process of why I believe that living in an illusion professionally is a terrible thing and only causes harm, because you can imagine all the things that unfold and transpire during that time. One of the things I like to do on here on YouTube as well is to really share evidence of not only like what I've experienced for 20 plus years with job seekers and with employers as well, because trust me, employers also greatly live in an illusion. They want to convince themselves that, oh, we're the best place to work in the world and people should be beating down our door to come work here. And, we're so great, and a lot of ego. And they, believe that they're never the ones at fault for bad employment situations. They always blame the person, the employee. So, which we all know is also something that causes great harm, down the line. So now I'm going to move on to a recent professional experience that I had within my business. And I'm going to, again, be respectful and not use any names. As you can imagine, 12 years in corporate and almost the last decade now running my own company, I've run into a lot of situations with employees, with team members, with people who, when I was in corporate, that we hired and worked on my team or other teams, where we definitely dealt with a lot of illusions. People, self-selected illusions that they were trying to live in. And I would say one of the most damaging that I've faced in all these years is people who try to put on a disguise. Okay, they put on this disguise and they go, here's the person at work that I want everybody else to believe that I am. And this person's very different than who I am at home, who I am with my friends and my people who are close to me, who I know myself to be individually. But I'm going to put on this mask, this disguise of who I am at work. And the problem with this is, and again, I'm just talking from 20 plus years of experience now, is that no one pulls this off. No one is fooling anyone. If someone thinks that they're putting on a smiley face all the time, pretending like things are rolling off their back, pretending like everything in life is, great and wonderful outside of work but in reality, that's not who they are. In reality, let's say, for example, there's someone who's terrified of conflict. Let's say that they're terrified of any type of uncomfortable conversation. Well, you can imagine in a business relationship how damaging that can be. Because guess what, folks? In any business situation, there is always going to be uncomfortable conversations. There's always going to be conflict that has to be resolved, because why? Every business, to some degree, involves people and involves human beings. So to put on this disguise and go, this is who I'm going to pretend to be at work and I'm going to hide this all, I have never seen that pan out for the long term. What actually ends up happening is at some point in time, this person who's put on the disguise is going to get called out in some way, shape, or form about trying to pretend to be something that they're not. And then if in the circumstance of somebody being terrified of conflict and confrontation, what will happen is a deep degree of manipulation and premeditated planning of how to then cover their butts. It's like what we tell our kids. We tell them, don't lie, because then it's going to snowball and you're going to have to lie to cover the lie, to cover the lie, to cover the lie. Well, in this situation, when someone is living in an illusion about who they are in their workplace, and on top of it, they're terrified of conflict or confrontation, when they are called out on that by the people that they work with, it is going to end up resulting in deep manipulation and it is only about self-preservation. And that's the hard part about this is there's zero concern about the harm that they're causing their teammates. There's zero concern about, how it's going to negatively impact the people around them. All they care about is self-preservation, to the point that they can even attempt to play victim, right? That they're going to sit there and go, oh, I'm the victim because I was dealing with X, Y, or Z, and this happened, and, the job was harder than I thought it was going to be, even though you were told and informed from day one of what the job was going to be. You didn't hear it because you had the rose-colored glasses on. Then you stepped it up and you put on your disguise. Then you got called out on your disguise. And now you know that everybody knows and it's gone public. So now it's self-preservation mode at anyone's expense. So again, illusion, dangerous, harmful, not good. Okay. So that's what's happening with folks during employment. Just one example. I could sit here and rattle off a million of them, but again, one example, and trying to use my own experiences as opposed to discussing other people. So the last piece of this, bringing again full circle, is talking about the exit from work process. Okay. And so in the exit from work process, I am very proud of what I'm about to share. Running a company for nearly a decade, that I have never fired one person. Not one. Now, does that mean that I've had 100% of the people we've worked with us has worked out? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What happens is that I really pride myself on holding true to our tenets in our business, which are flexibility, learning, efficiency, communication, and transparency, and to always be authentic and communicate and be transparent with every person on our team. And also to be accountable to the decision that we also made to hire that person and have a responsibility towards them. So if they're struggling, which everybody's going to, no one's perfect. We never hire anybody expecting perfection. But as the inevitable struggles come along for people at various times, beginning, middle, and hopefully not the end, but definitely at the end, we invest into support, development, coaching, mentoring, troubleshooting, and offering up guidance as much as we realistically can. But not every person is cut out for a job. Not every person is cut out for a specific team or industry. And that's just a reality, because that's what our beautiful uniqueness is in this world as human beings. We're just all unique creatures, which means that relationships are unique, which means that your business and your working relationship is going to also be unique. And so when we have exhausted all possibilities around supporting someone, and the obvious exceptions were if we were dealing with somebody who was, unethical. So we're talking unethical from stealing to lying to, again, manipulation, to not being a team player, to not having, again, prioritizing yourself always, as number one over the team at any given moment in time. Those are kind of our cardinal sins of sorts on our team. But assuming that those are not the situations we're dealing with, then in that case, we're going to support as much as we can. And if, in fact, we get to a point where no matter what has been attempted, and no matter the effort that the employee and the team member is making, because Lord knows, I can also tell you that probably about 90% of the people who have not worked out on my team have not worked out. Despite it not working out, they still gave it everything. I mean, they really tried. They really put their all into it. There's like 2 people off the top of my head I can think of that wasn't the case, but everybody else, it was like a genuine effort to make it work. And then my feeling is that not living in an illusion, facing reality, putting in best efforts on everybody's part, at some point in time, we have to acknowledge reality, which is this is not working. And I feel that in an adult relationship of any kind, most especially in business, that people shouldn't have to be fired. A person should say, I recognize this. I recognize that this is not a good fit. This is not a good match. We gave it our best, and I'm going to resign. And I'm going to resign respectfully. I'm going to resign with a conversation. I'm going to resign and give notice, and I'm going to do it in a way that honors the relationship that we have and have had. So to me, again, for people who are living in an illusion that they're waiting to get fired when they already know that it's not working out despite everybody's best efforts, that's not good. There's nothing good that comes from that. As a matter of fact, all that's going to happen is you are going to torture yourself, and you're going to torture everyone around you while you're trying to continue to fixate on this illusion. So that, I hope, helps bring this second installment of Living in Illusion when it comes to professional and business relationships to a full circle for you. Talking from job seeking, interviewing, to working in the job, all the way through to the end if it were not to work out. How, in my professional opinion and expertise, there are no upside benefits to living in an illusion when it comes to a business relationship because of the beauty in its simplicity. And so hopefully that, you guys gain a little insight. Maybe you take a minute to self-reflect, think about where are you at right now with your job? Where are you at in your business if you are a business owner? How are you doing in terms of accountability factors? How many illusions might you be choosing to live in and trying to convince yourself that there's some kind of upside benefit? Self-reflect. Think about those things. Think about your past, and think about, more importantly, how you would like to be conscious to your future. Is it the right circumstance to be in to choose to live in an illusion? If it's business, to come to terms with there never being a right one. But I hope this is helpful to you. I'm going to finish out this series with our 3rd episode, which will be the most hot topic-y of all of them, which is parenting. So living in an illusion in parenting. Is it circumstantial? Is there potentially good things? Is it always negative and bad and harmful? Who knows? Let's talk about it in my next installment from this series. I look forward to seeing you guys there. Thank you so much, as always, for taking your time out to listen to this and just be with me and spend a little time with me. I always am grateful for the listening and the ears, and I look forward. And like I said, again, I'll plug myself again. Please, if you haven't done so already, please go check out my YouTube channel and be able to subscribe. I look forward to seeing you guys on my next episode. Bye.